Yo, what up? It's motherfucking Soul, chilling at out here in Brunswick, Maine, at Holland Commune East, and just thought I'd make a little Patreon video for the folks who are interested in land projects and living off the land, and what it's like and what it entails. Behind me is our yard, or I should say the property. It's an acre and a half. Before I get started, I just want to send a huge thank you to everybody who supports me on Patreon. It makes shit like this possible. So, thank you. And yeah, if folks have questions or ideas or whatever, shoot them over. I'd love to hear them. And maybe for future videos we can address those things. So yeah, since this is my first time doing something like this, I'm just kind of learning as I go. I've had little garden plots in the city, but it's nothing like having real land. So this land is about an acre and a half, and as you look around, it's just overgrown. It's fern, it's goldenrod, and thick brush. It used to be some guy planted 1,000 pine trees back here, planted them so close together, and now they're all dying, which is cool because I can cut them all down. So our property goes all the way a little bit into those trees, back here, and all the way over there. I don't know. We'll go over there later. And so yeah, like I was saying, I've never done anything like this before, and so just learning it as I go. So the first thing to do is to clear all this so we can get an idea of like what's there. There could be hidden stuff under there that I don't know about. There could be, when you look over here, there's little blueberry bushes on the ground. There's it's almost like the movie They Live. You put those glasses on and you can see what's real. That's kind of how I feel after reading about all the shit out here. It's like I look down here, you think it's strawberry, but it's actually a plant called golden thread, which is a medicinal for cold and flu and throat symptoms. These are all ferns, but as everyone knows, ferns in the spring are fiddleheads, which are fucking delicious. Lots of stuff here, like these little blueberry bushes all along the ground everywhere. And so when you know what you have on your land, you know what to get rid of and what not to. It doesn't make sense to get rid of stuff that I can use. But again, we're just kind of observing and learning this land before we go crazy on it. So as you can see, it's like just overgrown. And so bit by bit, we're clearing it. And when you clear it, you see it's got this cool little spongy grass underneath it, which is just gonna be nice. Walnut loves to shit on it. I like to walk on it. One of the things we found early on was bay leaf. And as you can see, bay leaf has these little berries on it, and there's a wild kind of bay leaf that grows in Maine. I see 3 bushes of it here, and it's great. Laurel, we burn it, makes a nice smell. The Romans used to burn it like after battle or something to calm down. It releases smells that calm you down, but really it's just. And those berries, you can make candles with. It's a vegan way of making wax. So again, like just to give an idea of the scale, huge trees behind me. Those are all coming down. I don't know what we're gonna do with it. Ideally, build a fucking recording studio and guest house all the way back there so that I can have a space that's entirely removed from the house to work from, which would be cool. Again, like cool shit I discovered over here is like, it's a big ass blueberry bush over here. Just wild, tall blueberry bush. So back here, I'm not really sure what we're gonna do. Gonna keep it simple. Maybe a bunch of apple trees, nut trees, maybe potatoes, squash. Because there's just a few of us, we need to be careful with how complicated we get. And so I'm mainly gonna go with perennials, and I want it to be beautiful. So again, I'm not really sure what we're gonna do, but again, like when you get a piece of land, there's a bunch of shit you gotta clear, especially if it's overgrown like this. All this needs to be cleared. All this wood needs to come out. Another thing at this property is these cattails, this swamp area. You know, you have to build bridges over it because it's muddy. The neighbors hate it because there used to be little paths that go all the way through, but those giant trees over there, their roots are blocking the stream, and so water just goes back into and floods my neighbors' yards. That's going to be something I want to deal with. Here's a little bridge my mom's boyfriend just made, just for the fuck of it, with some down trees. And yeah, over here, chances are we're either going to fill it, which I don't think we'll do, or dig it out a little more and then line it with a kind of clay that allows water to stay in there. Then we can put fish in there, maybe grow some more food in there, maybe ducks, I'm not sure. Again, here's another area I haven't even made it through, is over here, pretty much all the way up to that big ass tree in the back, like way in the background our property goes, and I have no fucking idea what's over there. Yeah, so again, we have to, main project is to clear all the areas on both sides so we can get more of a idea of like what is in our immediate vicinity. When we first moved here, almost all of the property looked like that, just overgrown all the way up to the grass. And so we're having issues with ticks, me and my son. We each pulled about 4 ticks off of us, and so I kind of just went fucking ape shit on all the brush over here, killed it all, and we just put a little chicken coop in over here. And then once we're gonna fence in from the back so that at least so they don't go wandering into the woods and get eaten by a coyote or a fox or something. And we also have bald eagles and turkey vultures out here, but I think as long as there's a dog back here with them, and like you can put compact discs so that those birds can't really land. And so these chickens just came in last night. For now, I'm leaving them in the coop because honestly they were a little shook up. They traveled over here in a box, kind of sucks for them. So I'm just kind of letting them get acquainted in their new home. They're about 3 months old, 2 months old, some are older, but they're already, we built this coop this weekend and we already got our first egg. I don't eat eggs. I don't know if I ever will or not. I'm torn on it. I'm disgusted by the idea, but I also feel like, well, first of all, my son eats them and my dog eats them, so that's cool. Give them to friends, but I'm kind of grossed out, and I'm really into the idea of like developing a vegan food-based permaculture, because most people rely so heavily on animals and meat. You know, if you're vegan, how do you live off the land? You know, and so that's really what I want to try to develop out here, is like lots of nuts, lots of like natural proteins. So probably gonna do a lot of 3 sisters actually back there. When I talk about keeping it simple, I would imagine doing half of that, just corn, squash, and beans all growing together, with beans going up the corn, squash covering the ground, maybe put pumpkins in front of our house and sell them for some extra money. The guy who had a meth lab in the basement before us, they were just dumping shit here, so this is what we've been doing for now. Again, this area, this is where Yasmin wants us to have the greenhouse is over here, so we're gonna be clearing all of this next. And again, this is just to give people an idea of like what it really takes to do a project like this. It's a lot of work, a lot of planning, and you know, a lot of experimentation and learning as you go. So over here, this is a plum tree. That's an apple tree. Neither fruited this year because they were choked out by weeds. Lots of raspberries, lots of blackberries. Here's a little shed back here. I thought about making a guest house, but I'm not gonna do that. So also, when we first got here, there were all these beds that people had made. And while I was never really a fan of beds, I just thought, fuck it, I'm just gonna pull up. Originally it all looked like this, just overgrown. So I pulled up half of them and just started throwing seeds and some plants in the ground just to see how things do out here. And I don't even have a hose, so this shit is all watered by rain, and I've maybe come out here with a watering bucket 3 times and just watered this stuff, but it's like already the leaves, plants are just happier at sea level than up in the high desert. It's a fact of life. It's like cheating. These are some plants I brought with me from Denver. Currant, black currant, Nanking cherry bush, which is fucking beautiful. Check it out. And gooseberry. Now, I'm probably not going to keep him here. I just had to get him out. That guy Aaron, I interviewed a little while back on the podcast. I went down to his place and bought some of these really hard, difficult to grow perennials. Here's some perennial kale, Turkish rocket, sea kale. Again, these are plants I tried to grow forever, so I really just wanted to get them in the ground so that next year I could move them or do other things with them. Over here are our grapes, a fucking crazy grapevine. It grows all along here, and then it went all the way up this tree. And these grapes are just about, I think they're ripe. Not great, but good for something. Juice. Maybe we'll actually make wine from them. And yeah, so it's fucking beautiful out here. I mean, again, we've got this broken down, busted ass house that no one had lived in for 2 years. You know, you can see like shit's like falling apart. So much work that needs to be done, like this weird ass door, like it's just so much shit. And so when you move into a place like this, it's like so much work. It's overwhelming. This is the front lawn. There's nothing here, which is great. Lots of hostas, which, according to my podcast with Aaron, are edible. So, you know, I guess we'll be eating some hostas. When we got here, I was happy to see that there's garlic chives and spring onions and regular chives back here. And what's cool is this is where our kitchen is. So I think it's like really important to have herbs, chives, and things like that close to your kitchen, because I'm not somebody who likes to pick things and keep them in the fridge. I like, when I'm cooking, to just run out and grab some shit. So this is an herb spiral. And it's a classic permaculture design. It's a spiral. I think it's 5 feet wide. And you just I haven't planted stuff in the back. I want to put tarragon and fenugreek in the back, because all these things are perennial here, except for the basil and the rosemary. Perennial means it comes back every year. So in there it's just oregano, sorrel, basil, strawberry. I'll put some savory and tarragon in the back, fenugreek, sage, parsley, angelica, thyme, and oregano. I might put more oregano in because I just love oregano. But again, like, I haven't watered that shit. It's so wet here. It's so lush. In here is our barn. I'm not gonna go in there right now because because I feel like just being outside right now. I don't know what we're gonna do with that barn. I'll bet we do a farm to table, vegan, weird vegetable meal once a month in there. But we'll see. I don't know. It seems like I want to use it for some kind of I mean, this barn is bigger than our old house. It's crazy. Over here is just a giant raspberry bush, and it goes just fucking endlessly. So again, all these trees, it's all coming down. You know, yeah, so that's it. You know, if people have ideas, questions, suggestions, I'd love to hear them. This is cool. I mean, there's just so many. Oh, it's locked. This house is crazy. It's so old, and because it was a foreclosure, we got it so fucking cheap. But again, it's like when you get a busted ass fixer upper house, there's just so much work that goes into it. That thing over there is a heat pump, which is a fucking amazing invention. you know, because the boiler and the heat system had exploded, we had to get a new heating system, and I just couldn't get oil. I did not want a furnace and a boiler. So so we looked into these heat pumps, and what they do is they extract cold molecules from the air in the summer and hot molecules from the air in the winter, and heat it. It's like kind of like geothermal, but more magical. Yeah. So, but again, for people who are following this project and this Patreon, you know, over the next couple of years, this project will continue to evolve. And I'm not sure, we might even have a sort of public work week over here where we invite people to bring tents and learn how to plant a food forest. Because one thing I've learned is that although I like to grow food and I want to grow as much food as you possibly can, I also want it to be beautiful. I think that's important. I think aesthetics matter. I mean, if you saw my studio, you wouldn't think so, but it's just so beautiful out here. You know, I always hated on Christmas trees, but it's like, hey, we got them now, so we might as well fucking grow them. And you know, how cool to raise a kid around this shit, you know? And I honestly, you know, I wouldn't be able to do this without folks supporting me on Patreon. So I just really just want to thank people for, you know, supporting me in that way. And yeah, you know, I'll probably make videos like this every time I have something to share. So, you know, stick around, and we'll see how this project evolves. Thank you for your time, and have a nice day.